Saturday Social is powered by FIFA 22 with PlayStation.
We have got Spencer on the show today, so not many better people in world football to talk about his beloved Hammers. Now, last season, just 2 points off fourth place, 2 points off the Champions League. Very, very close. So today we're going to ask Spencer how he plans to get, or how he dreams of getting to the Champions League spots this year, because it's not going to be easy for West Ham fans, but we want to set out that dream proposition of getting to the Champions League places. So we're going to ask Spencer for 5 different ways and 5 things he think would help them get to those Champions League spots. So the first one we're going to go with, Spencer, is keeping Declan Rice, because right now Declan Rice is a Rolls Royce of a midfielder. How good is Declan Rice right now?
Yeah, I mean, he's been good for quite a few years, to be honest. I just think that everyone's seeing it a bit more now. I think that his performances for England in the summer has converted a lot of doubters into Rice fans. But obviously, he's got some good players around him at West Ham. He's got some players that are raising their game to meet his level, which is why we're performing well as a team. We love him, obviously. And I think, any success we could have it will be key to keep him there, because I don't really see a way of replacing him. If the day does come when we do lose him, I think it will have to be a bit more of like what Villa have done it when they've lost Grealish, whereby we try and spend that money wisely across 3 and 4 players, because, have a player his age, still so young, who's come through, he was at Chelsea as a youngster, but then he's come from West Ham's academy. And it's the closest we've got to another Mark Noble in terms of sort of one of our own, if you like, that you can't replace them. So we just need to keep him for as long as we can. And getting Champions League football would be a way potentially of doing that, because he needs to be playing at that level.
Yeah, how much do you think he's worth to West Ham now? Because I remember you were on the show, was it last season or season before, when we sat down and we talked about who would improve Manchester United. You pitched Declan Rice in that position and said, look, I want 100 million for him. It's now a big pat on the back, to be fair, Spencer, because that's the number people were actually talking about for Declan Rice. Because at the time, I think everybody, including us, was a bit like, 100 million, come on. How much do you think he's worth to West Ham?
Now 200. No, I'm joking. No, it's still 100. It's still 100. I knew at the time it was going to get a bit of reaction, that comment. Although I don't think West Ham fans necessarily didn't see what I was saying, because it wasn't necessarily. I don't think any of these players are worth that amount of money. It's about what you'd have to pay to get it, in my opinion. And I still think Man United need that central midfielder, and Rice would be the obvious one. But and I do honestly think he's worth that amount of money if anyone else is, in this day and age. You look at his age, you look at what he can do. The fact he's English, which comes with a premium, as we know, as you need homegrown players in the Premier League. So certainly, and the need for players in that position, which a lot of the big teams do have, it's a no-brainer for me. If other players are going around those figures, then why not Declan Rice? And I think he's just proved it now. I think the last few years, people that, like I say, don't support West Ham, who've seen him a bit more, realise what you're getting with him is just that absolute reliability in the middle.
Yeah. HP, how much would you pay for him? HP, how much would you pay for it, United?
You know what? I wouldn't go for far off what Spence said with 100 million. I think with inflation and stuff like that, I don't think we should really look at prices. This is what the players actually bring into the team. I think what Declan Rice done in the Euros was nothing short of amazing. He was one of our most consistent players. And as he started the season, he's continued in that form. He's a great passer of the ball. He knows how to break down play. His positioning is sensational. And I think he knows how to play in the Premier League. And no disrespect to West Ham, but if he can do it at West Ham, then I'm 100% he can do it for Man United. I think he's a top player, and he's going to grow in that position and actually cement it, be one of the best players in the Premier League in that position as well.
I think that's a great word to describe him, that Harry said, consistency. He's such a consistent performer. But we've got to move on, because Spence, just to reiterate, these are Spencer's 5 picks. The 5 picks to West Ham to try and get Champions League football. Now, the next one, this is a good one, because it will raise an interesting debate that a lot of fans have. You've said to get knocked out of the Europa League. Now, this is something that many fans have. I know going to Europa League games with Tottenham, that there's a huge debate amongst fans in the Europa League. On the one hand, you've got the fan base that says, well, it's Thursday nights, it's extra games. If we're out, it helps our Premier League form. The other hand, you get the fans that say, well, actually, this is a winnable trophy. So where do you sit now as a West Ham fan? Because you haven't been in Europe for such a long time. Are you not looking at this and go, do you know what? This is potentially an opportunity for silverware for West Ham?
Oh, no, I am. 100% am. It's not about whether I want us to win the Europa League. Of course, I want us to win it. I just think it's going to be almost impossible for us to get a top 4 spot alongside a long, drawn-out Europa League campaign. And I'm actually a little bit torn as to what I'd prefer, to be honest, because there's nothing like winning a trophy, and if you I'm not saying we're going to win Europa League, because once those Champions League teams get knocked out and fall into it, it's a different kettle of fish. But I think we've got a good chance of getting out of our group. And I think, a lot of us would just love the journey and love the away days. We don't get them. We haven't had many of them in my lifetime. We've had a couple of Europa League qualifying campaigns. I've been out to Romania, Slovenia, Andorra. I was hoping to go to some, of the bigger nations with West Ham this year. And I think that, it's just going to be really difficult because of the size of our squad. Even though we brought in a few guys towards the end of the window, it's still wafer thin. We still only have one recognised striker, really. So it's unrealistic to think we can do both. I think it's more realistic that we go for a good Europa League campaign and we try and get as high as we can in the league. But if it's about getting top 4 football, maybe to hold on to the likes of Declan Rice, then Europa League has to go. We can't do both.
Interesting, Joe. It's a good debate, Joe, isn't it? It's a good debate that a lot of fans, I can relate to a lot of what Spencer's saying there.
Yeah, definitely. Thursday nights are tough. Let's move on to the next segment then. We've got add players down here then, Spence. Now, are you happy with the business you've done this summer? Because from a neutral perspective, it looks pretty good.
What's been great ever since Moyes joined us is he hasn't brought in any duds. Every player that's come in has stepped us up a level, improved us in some way. And our first 11 is actually quite hard to improve now. So what he's done is he's given us options. I mean, Zuma, I'm sure will come into that first 11 eventually. Vlasic is looking exciting. I'm looking forward to seeing what he can do, and a number of different positions that he can play in. And Krau is another centre midfielder, another one of these Czech boys that we're collecting. I just think we need a few more, and I'm not complaining about the window because we've had a lot worse windows than that, trust me. And we have spent some money, to be fair. Zuma and Vlasic both around the sort of 25-30 mil mark, but we still only have one recognised striker, like I say, and I love him. We love him. We just got player of the month for the Premier League, Antonio, but he's an injury waiting to happen, and we're going to have to go to a false 9 setup if and when he does get injured, which is fine. We made it work with Lingard last year, but I'd like to have another option. I'd like us to have a plan B with an out-and-out striker. And it's just about numbers. If we get 2-3 significant injuries, we are going to be playing some of the youngsters, and that will hurt us.
I want to go straight to the next one because this is more of a light-hearted one. Spencer's just written down, buy more players from Sparta Prague, because it's gone quite well for you, that, hasn't it?
Our feeder club, mate. It's a lovely little feeder club setup we've got there. They sign you at about 8 and they set out your whole roadmap. They say you're going to play for Sparta Prague, and at about 23 you sign for West Ham, and you just sign it away. It's been amazing. The work rate the Souček and Soufal have brought to the club is unbelievable. And it does seem like Moyes just needs a play. He just calls them in for a meeting and he goes, who you got? And they go get their little Rolodex out. There's a left back I played with once. The scouting has gone well. We have to say we brought in players at good prices as well. We haven't spent a lot of money. Soufal's like 5 million. He's one of the best right backs in the league, in my opinion.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask Harry quickly. What do you think of West Ham's business? Obviously, they've made good business, but do you worry that Spencer alluded to it earlier that the likes of Declan Rice and Mikel Antonio are so important to them? Do you fear for them if they do get injuries to some of their key players?
100%. I think what Spencer said about them being knocking themselves out of the Europa League is a good thing. I know it sounds a bit negative, but if they don't have strength in depth, then it's actually going to affect their season and potential for them to actually get into the Champions League, because they were 2 points off last season and they were really, really good. They were a team that played really well. So I think for them to actually get to that level that they want to get to, and they can get to with the stadium and the fans and everything, I think they need players. They need to be buying players. And if not, then it's going to be a long season for them and it's going to dip because of the inconsistency of the players. So, I think that's the main thing that they should be thinking about in January if I was a manager.
Yeah. Fifth and final thing then. Let's keep this one nice and quick, Spencer. You've got back Moyes. Now, he got his 3-year contract. Where do you think if you finished this season, you'd be happy with to justify like Moyes getting a new deal? Because I think that was the right timing personally, but some people might say, it was unnecessary.
No, definitely needed to keep Moyes and tie him down. The board aren't necessarily always the most popular, but Moyes is pretty popular, what he's done. And he's taken us over as a relegation-threatened team. And, West Ham fans never get too overexcited. We're used to being perennial strugglers in the league. So even if Moyes had a bad year and kept us up in 15th, 16th, I'd still give him another year because he's earned that. And he's brought in great players. We back Moyes all day long.